Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint. This is going to finish up our Airbnb segment. Funny story, I already recorded it, but I forgot to hit record, so I'm doing it again. That's some discipline in that aspect. But so the first two episodes about this, we talked about how to get an Airbnb, how to get started, what are some things to look for. But I wanted to finish it with, you got everything up and running, what are the steps, how do you get more Airbnbs so you could grow your portfolio over the next few years and have passive income. I think this is a really hot topic right now. And now that Melissa and I are, going into year two, is that we're looking at probably other options as well to continue to grow this to something a lot bigger than, what we already have right now. So I want to talk about, just some of the things that are really important and things that I've learned managing this, because we don't have a property manager, because I think it's crazy to do that unless you're a total lazy bones or have no idea what to do. But pricing strategies. So let me talk to you about this. And this is something that really frustrates me a lot. So as you guys all know, our cabin is in Blue Ridge, Georgia, very beautiful, North Georgia, about 2 hours north of Atlanta. So when we first started, I was like, all right, let's just rush, get it on Airbnb and VRBO as fast as possible. And I kind of just made up a price. And maybe it was too high or it was too low, I don't know. But I ran into a cool YouTube video that had this program called Price Labs. And if you ever heard of Price Labs, it's a engine, we'll call it, that basically takes other cabins or homes, short-term rentals in your area and prices you out with those. But it has some cool things and features I want to share with you. So if you need to, just click up there. I have a link for it if you want to check it out. I think it's free for the first 30 days and it's only $20 a month after that. So when we first started, we just had it put up there and just try to get it rented, so we could start building up the reviews and stuff like that. But I missed out on a lot of crucial opportunities. And let me talk about those opportunities. So as you all know, people travel from all over the world and the country to your short-term rental. So everybody has different, what I call vacations, holidays, times off from school, with the kids, or people have different work vacations. So I missed on a lot of opportunities in the beginning because I didn't know. I didn't know what North Georgia's or anywhere around there, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, or Florida. Everybody has different vacations, breaks throughout the year. And we missed on a lot of opportunities with holidays. So now that I'm looking back on it, if that was something I would do different and teach myself back, is that make sure you have that foundation as opposed to looking it up and having an Excel sheet in order to do it yourself. There's a program, Price Labs, that does it for you. And what's really cool is, so it takes basically your short-term rental and compared to others in the area, and based on the square footage, bedrooms, and then amenities, it will give you a base price. And the base price is kind of like your standard. And then you have your high price and your minimum floor price. So you have your ceiling, floor, and your base. And what it does is during holidays and weekends, it's going to actually juice it up so that way you could capitalize on the most income. Now, if your short-term rental is not rented, as it gets closer, you could actually set it so it discounts it, and it will start reflecting to all the different places with different discounts, coupons, whatever, until it gets rented. So the cool thing is that it's not going to be rented out for nothing, but you set your floor. But at the end of the day is that it allows you to capitalize on the most, and when demand spikes, it starts going back up. It's really cool, and it's definitely helped us maximize on our earnings, because that's the whole purpose of having one of these. Is for us, it's a second home. It's a little bit different, but it pays for the mortgage, and the mortgage isn't cheap. It's like $6,000 a month. So we're definitely breaking even. We're not making a ton of money, but it's a free home for us, and we really love going up there. Can't wait to get up there in a couple of weeks. So pricing strategies is really cool. The other thing too is that it also understands demand spikes. So demand spikes would be, for example, if you had a short-term rental in Orlando. Well, if there's a huge concert or a big ball game or something going on in Orlando, well, it's going to know that. And especially holidays. Holidays, we all kind of know the major holidays, but it also will increase the price based on demand spikes, which would be concerts, events, big rallies, whatever it might be. So I think that's really, really important. The other piece too is enhancing the guest experience. So when we start looking at the guest experience, that comes down to the reviews, right? So when you get reviewed after the stay of your short-term rental, those go on the Airbnb, VRBO, and your direct booking website, which you should have set up based on the conversation we had in the last episode. So when you are hosting, you need to make sure that you have hospitality skill sets. There's some really great groups. If you want like any kind of humor, just search Airbnb, VRBR groups on Facebook. Melissa and I laugh at them all the time, but it's just crazy. Like I was reading one the other day, and essentially the person, not in Blue Ridge, but near Blue Ridge, so LJ, said, my cleaning crew, who are amazing, is raising the cleaning price from $150 to $200. And I started sitting there scratching my head. I'm like, who cares if it's $500, whatever it might be? That's your biggest asset. And we talked about that your cleaning crew basically dictates your future. And we had a cleaning crew who we thought were great. It was a recommendation, and they weren't even freaking cleaning. Like the house, every time we went up there, it was like we spent time cleaning, and it wasn't cool at all. And we were paying more money than what we're paying now. And our shout out to Terry, she's freaking amazing. They used to clean our cabin before us, before we bought it, and then we switched gears, and now we're back to her gear. And the girls that she has are just impeccable, phenomenal. Every single person that's come there to our cabin has said it's been beyond amazing, and that just gives us a sigh of relief, because Melissa and I used to have anxiety, like, all right, somebody's checking in. And then, of course, we have a camera for for security and our safety and protection while we're down here in Florida. And, you know, I'd just be like, please, 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 like, everything be okay. And, you know, it has been, and we don't even think about it anymore. And everybody's saying it's amazing. Like our last guest, she told us that she's been renting cabins in Blue Ridge for 20 years. So if you go twice a year, that's 40 times, 40 different cabins. And she said, this is the nicest, cleanest cabin I've ever been to, me and my husband have ever been to. And just hearing that feels amazing. And we're not the ones cleaning, so we always portray that back to our cleaners and tell them, like, hey, you guys are doing an excellent job. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. And they're invaluable at the end of the day, is because that is your number one asset, and especially for your reviews. Like, yeah, you could put the location, and everyone looks at the cleaning and what the reviews are. So it's very, very important that you have a great cleaning setup, but you got to go to that group. It's hilarious. People, you'd be surprised what people leave behind and what they find, and just the questions. Like, I've seen sometimes people go, I just got a booking, what do I do? Dumbass, accept it. Unless you have rules and stuff like that. Like, we vet our people out. If we don't feel comfortable, we don't rent to them, but that's just us. But it's really, really about the guest experience. So, like, for example, we have Pinecone Peak Yeti cups that, you know, we leave out for our guests to take with them. And plus, that's a marketing aspect for us and a write-off, because obviously our Airbnb is in an LLC. But having a guest basket, you know, maybe some goodies. People travel a lot, you know, some of our guests travel 12 hours, and it's nice to have, you know, some snacks there and whatnot. We have a little coffee bar, and we supply all the K-cups. And here are some big things that you got to make sure you do. Number one, make sure you have all the utensils and cooking materials that people need. That's number one. I hear that a lot. We actually have way too much. We had to get rid of a lot of it, but that's number one. Cooking supplies, utensils. Number two, make sure you have cleaning supplies. If somebody leaves a mess, they're not going to be able to clean it if you don't leave cleaning supplies. And that consists of mop, vacuum, sponges, paper towels. You know, I've been to some Airbnbs, there's literally like one garbage bag. Like, all right, why? You know, do you really want us to pack all, you know, leave stuff for your guests. A, it makes them feel more at home. And number two, you don't have to worry about any messes. And also for the guest experience, make sure you check in with them. I mean, we talk to our guests, we give them a whole itinerary of great things to do, the area. We are their concierge service, so we always tell them, like, hey, if you want recommendations, make sure you reach out. So a lot of that kind of ties into what I do today, as far as, you know, not hospitality, because that's not what I do, but just, you know, giving a little bit more than the average person would. And a lot of these vacation rental companies out there, they don't do crap, honestly. They don't talk to them. They don't care if your house is destroyed. They don't care if the guests give you a bad review. But we personally take it to heart. And, you know, we've had some mishaps, you know, with our past cleaning team, we'll call it, and we still skated through. We have over 42 5-star reviews on Airbnb, and then about 20 direct bookings, all 5-star reviews. But every single time that we have somebody there now, we have nothing to worry about. And that's how I want everybody out there to feel, is that you have to vet your people and make sure you have the right things in place, because if you have bad reviews, nobody's going to rent your short-term rental, period. They might, but then you're going to probably have to adjust your price, and you're going to get a whole bunch of new clientele in there. So enhancing the guest experience is huge. Marketing and online presence. So as you guys know, if you follow myself or Melissa on Facebook, is that we always promote our cabin. We get new pictures. We just got a whole bunch of new videos done and pictures for the holidays. You got to be on top of it. If you use your iPhone and take some pictures, it's not going to look good. There's great companies out there. They don't charge too much, but it's worth it because then it looks professional. So it's really, really important that you market on social media. A lot of our bookings now are direct bookings. I mean, I went to the Airbnb app and I was like, wow, we don't really have anything in there, but our calendar's full. We're running about 80% occupancy rate. So there's a couple days here or there, but we're doing phenomenal out there, phenomenal. And I think a lot of it comes to being in different groups. So for example, in Blue Ridge, we're in all the Blue Ridge cabin groups, Tennessee cabin groups, all the cabin groups through there, because a lot of people don't want to book through Airbnb or VRBO. They want to do direct booking because A, it saves them money, but B, an alternative, it makes us more money. So that's a big thing there too, is that you got to make sure you have a website set up with direct booking. It's very, 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 very important. But you got to make sure that you're doing online, marketing. So, what I would recommend is have a business Facebook page, maybe boost some posts, do some cool videos, offer discounts and stuff like that. But that's going to get you more business. If you just kind of let it go and you're just hoping for Airbnb and VRBO to do their algorithms to see where you land, then you may not get rented out all the time. And then you might be like, wow, why did I buy this investment property and I'm not getting anything out of it? So I think that's a really, really big key there. But really talking about the long term, right? So I want to make sure that everybody, and I talked about this before, is that you need to set up an LLC. You need to have a tax ID through the IRS once it's approved. And I would quitclaim deed the property if you bought it in your personal name into the business name for liability reasons. I talked about us getting sued because our contractor decided to cut down trees. We didn't get sued. We got a demand letter, but basically the insurance company went back and forth. They came after us for $40,000 and then went after the contractor for the rest because they didn't do their due diligence. But if that was in my name, I mean, technically it's investment property, they could come after you. And that's something very, very important, that you got to have the liability protection there for you. But besides that is that, we have a business checking account, M&M Luxury Real Estate, where all the income comes in, all the payouts go out, and it's very, very easy to manage. But also when you do your taxes at the end of the year, ours is set up as a corporation, so it's tax deductible. So we take our income minus our expenses and depreciation, and it works. All right. So that's a little thing there. Buying properties and depreciating them is tax deductible. So that makes more money in your pocket, less that you have to pay to the IRS. So very, very important. But so let's talk about scaling up. So once you get your first one, it's going good. I always recommend, if it's your first one, get a year, get your feet wet, understand the whole process and everything, how it works. After that, how do you get another one? Well, if you have capital, great. You buy another one, 20% down. Let's just say you don't. So we do have opportunities for you, so you could do what they call HELOC. So we have HELOCs that you could do on investment properties. You could do it on your primary residence or a second home. When you do these, you could take the equity out of that property, and sometimes, depending on the product, you could go up to, on investment, 70% combined loan to value, which is your first mortgage, and your second mortgage has to be a certain percentage. But if your primary residence has a lot of equity in it, that's a great way to do it. And I have a lot of newer investors, that's what they're doing. And actually my smart investors, they don't use their cash. There's no reason to. You can't scale up if you're buying $700,000 homes unless you have millions of dollars. So you got to start thinking, how are you going to scale up? So take your profits that you make from the Airbnb and VRBO or the short-term rental, even if you have a long-term rental, keep it in the account. Make sure you have enough to cover your expenses, but start saving up that money. But if you could do a HELOC or a second mortgage, that's going to give you the opportunity to buy another one. All right. It's almost like the Burr method. You buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. Okay. And by doing that, that's how you scale up, and you'll have the passive income. Doesn't mean you have to buy $1 million house for your first one. Maybe start small, see how it goes. $200,000-$300,000, 50, 60 grand out of pocket, and then go on to the next one. So you got to find ways to scale, because if you're not going to do it to make money, unless it's a second home and you're going to keep it forever like us, and we're making money, but we're not making buku bucks because the interest rates are a little bit higher. But if the whole purpose behind this is to have passive income, so that way when you're retired and you have 20 properties, just think about that income that you're going to have. And then you could pass down the legacy to your kids and grandchildren and your family and all those good things. And that is what you need to do. So hopefully you guys got some nuggets on this and how to start an Airbnb and get going with that. I know we've learned a lot going along the way, and we kind of talked to a lot of great people that are all in the same, mindset. And that's the growth mindset, that you got to stop thinking like, oh, I can't do this, or I don't know how to do this, because there's people around you that do know how to do it. And I learned from my job being a mortgage broker from the people that are doing it, and that kind of motivates me and gives me the discipline, to do it. And that's how you got to do it. So if you guys ever want to talk about that, just feel free to reach out, but don't be afraid to do it. That's the message, is that you can do it, and it's going to be awesome. And of course, there could always be mishaps. It could go the other way, but that's risk versus reward. You got to take that risk to actually take the plunge. So thank you for listening. We're going to do some more segments on investing and stuff like that down the road, but thank you for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. This is Matt with Beyond the Blueprint.